Welcome to the Dave Show. My name is Dave, and today I'm here to talk about this 60-inch 3-blade ceiling fan, and this is good for outdoor patios or indoors. And the company did send me this product for review, but they wanted me to show you what it is, what comes with it, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put this together and install it. So this could be a very detailed video and a very long video because there's bits and pieces and parts. Now these things are not very difficult to do, but you do need to follow the directions and have patience, and also have a very big ladder and probably a few tools. So let's go ahead. It's in here pretty well. Now the box was pretty plain. There's no pretty pictures on it, but inside it was actually packaged very well. It had a big foam piece on top of it, and everything is in here with a nice foam bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and take everything out, lay it out here. We'll go through each piece of it and put it together and install it. So let's take a look at it. Okay, here's everything you're going to get in the package. Again, you do get an instruction manual here, and it's a very good idea to make sure you read this because it gives you the parts list, and it also gives you step-by-step on how to mount this. Now, there is a model that has a light in it as well, so this gives you parts list and installation with fan with light and one without light. This one here does not have a light in it, so I'm going to be following along on these instructions here. So here the parts you get a couple of down rods. So if this rod is not big enough, meaning you have a slant on your roof where you're mounting this and it's not big enough to fit, you have an extension rod to lower it down even further, which is really nice. This is all part of the canopy, how to put it together, the motor for it, the fan motor with your wires in there. And then you have a bracket. This is a ceiling bracket. This is what you're going to mount to your joist, your ceiling fan, your ceiling box. Now you do want to make sure that it's very good and secure. I'm actually replacing a fan already, so I should be fine with taking the old fan off and putting the new one on. Now sometimes things don't always line up when you're going from something old to something new, so I don't know how that's going to be until I get up there and take the other one down. I still need to do that. This is just a little cap to it. What's really cool too is this actually has a remote control, and it also has a wall mount for the remote control. So you do have little wall anchors on here. You have a wall mount, and you have a battery for it, so you can control if it has a light. If it has a light, this works as well. The fan and speeds and everything with a remote control. Now, to put the remote control part in the fan, the instructions don't show the remote control with the basic instructions. You're going to have to put this up in there as well. This is the remote control receiver, but they do send an extra set of instructions on how to mount this part along with it. You are going to get a whole bag of nuts, bolts, screws, anchors, tools, all kinds of stuff in here. And then this is a weight kit. What happens is sometimes if it's not balanced, you may have to stick on a little weight on one of the blades to balance it out. And this is the instructions and a little weight kit for it there. And then you have your blades. Again, this is a 3-blade. This is really cool. These are wood. And it looks like an airplane, like an old school airplane propeller. And they're very lightweight too. This is not really heavy at all. The heaviest part is the motor. That part's pretty heavy. But the instructions show how to put this onto here. You want to assemble pretty much everything ahead of time and then mount this up into your light fixture or your joist, the junction box, all that kind of stuff. So this is made for that. Now I'm not going to go over it for some reason. If you don't have power, you don't have a junction box, you don't have anything to it, you might want to call an electrician. I'm simply just replacing a fan that's already there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this together. I'm not going to show you step by step every little step and nut and bolt and screw to put this together. Everything's in the instructions. Just follow the instructions and you're going to be fine. I'll put this all together, and when it's done, I'll show you the completed, and then I'm going to take the old fan off and we're going to put the new one on and give it a test. So when I come back, this should be all assembled and ready to go. Okay, I just want to show you the fan that I have outside now. This is pretty nasty, but it is a lot smaller than the other one. The new one's pretty big, and the down rod may not be big enough with the small one because of the slant of the roof. It's hard to tell here, but I'm going to go ahead and take that one off, and then I'm going to see about putting the other one up there in its place. Okay, a few tips along the way when you're putting this fan together with the blades, and then there's a plate, and then the motor. You do kind of have to line these up. It wouldn't fit, like if I had these blades over on this side, it wouldn't fit correctly. I had to put it over to here. So you have to make sure that they fit fine and not tighten them all down at the same time, because you need to keep them loose, because you got to put the other fan blades in. So you kind of almost need three hands, but I was able to get it in. It's just a little tip there. To change out the down rod, that doesn't say much in the instructions, but there's a couple little set screws in this little thing and a pin, and then the pin at the bottom. In the small one, I had to change it out for the big one because I'm going to use the big one there. A couple other things real quickly is, the hardest part is probably going to be taking the old fan down. It was a real pain in the butt. The screws that came with it, there was a whole bunch of different kinds of screws in different sizes, and the instructions don't say which ones to use for what. So I had to guess. These kind of small screws, when I was trying to put the bracket up against the ceiling, the electrical box, it was a mess up there, and so these screws didn't work. I actually had to use one of these big heavy duty screws and a drill to get it up in there. So I needed a drill, screwdriver. You need a tiny micro screwdriver set for the electrical connection part, because there's a little set screw up there. So there's a few things you're going to have to figure out as you go along, because the instructions don't say it. But I'm getting there. I got the electrical part put up, and I'm just getting this set. So we're going to continue on to the next step. Okay, here is the bracket up here. The screws, I actually even stripped the screws out trying to put them in there. This little box in here didn't have good connectors for the screws, so I just had to screw them in really good and tight. The electrical little connector here, I know it's hard to see, but there's tiny little screws that you have to loosen up to stick the wires in to the box. Let's see if you can see that. The wires are going into the little plastic things. There's tiny little screws out in this direction here that you have to loosen up to do that. So, but I got it in there, and it seems pretty secure and tight, so hopefully that'll work. I'm gonna go get the fan and see what the next step is. Okay, here's some more little tips and tricks. You have to put the rod in and thread the wires through the rod. Now, with this little pin and stuff in here, you can't get this through because it's got this big old connector on it. So you do have to loosen up a couple of set screws and lower this down, take the pin out, pull the wire through, then you can pull this back up and put the pin in and the set screws. So you kind of have to loosen all that up to get this through here. And then down here at the base, when the rod goes into it, you have a couple of set screws and the pin and a little cotter pin over here as well. So you have to kind of finagle it, because that wire is going right through the middle as well. So you got to make sure that is all in there and good and tight, so this thing doesn't fall. So it's tight into here, and it's tight up at the top. Now it's pretty much ready to go to be installed, to put up on the little bracket, the hanging bracket. And the way this is shaped, this is a ball, semi-ball kind of thing. This goes into the bracket that I installed onto the ceiling. So I'm going to go and get that put up there next. Okay, I do have this installed now, and I was able to get that remote control up under there. Super tight fit. This angle is pretty extreme, so getting that top cap on was super pain in the butt. Just to give you a heads up, it took me probably about 4 hours to get this whole thing, to get the old one down, to get the new one up and everything. I have not turned it on yet, so I'm going to turn it on and see if it works. I'm going to try the main switch first, and then also the remote control. So, okay, to pair the remote control, you're supposed to turn this on and hit the fan on-off button within 30 seconds. So I heard a beep. Okay, I had the main power on and I had the remote control paired, so I'm going to hit the on-off button on the fan on the remote, and we're going to see if it works. And here we go. Okay. It is working. It is super quiet. I just hit the one button, so it should slow down. I think that's just the first speed. I hit the 2 button. And I'm going to skip 3 and 4. I'm going to go right to 5 to see how this thing goes and to make sure it doesn't fly off the ceiling. But it looks pretty steady. It's really tight up there. Again, it took quite a while to get it up there and set. But it looks good. It's blowing some wind. I can feel it. And the leaves are moving. Super, super nice. Again, there's no lights on this, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the off button. Okay, I mounted the remote control. This is our outdoor patio light. I just mounted it right up above. Nice little holder here. You can slide it in and out. Very simple, easy to get to. A very nice place for it. There you go. Really, really nice fan. It did take some work to do and some figuring out because the instructions are not totally clear on a lot of things, so you may have to figure a few things out, but you can definitely do it yourself. So if you're looking for a nice large outdoor patio, or you can use an indoor fan, this one may be the right one for you.